Hello, you're watching and listening to the episode of Leaders and Engineers. We're broadcasting from Estonia, and my name is Norhan Yusupov. Today, our guest is an expert in software development, robotics engineering, and game development. He is a Bachelor of Science cum laude in Integrated Engineering and Master of Science in Computer and Systems Engineering, with more than 6 years of experience in software development. He is a recipient of the Best Student Award for the highest GPA on the faculty. He worked in such companies as Tiggernaut and Ericsson, and now he is living in Estonia and working in laude Tech. It's an Estonian company developing self-driving vehicles. Please meet Mark Sisin.
Hello, everyone. My name is indeed Mark.
So how do you do?
Well, it really depends on the Estonian weather. You usually don't want to see the snow in April, but overall is fine. I guess sometimes my temper depends on the weather, but all this time I'm in quite positive mood.
And I would assume that you're probably still playing games. So when was the last time you played the game?
Yesterday, so it really depends. I've been playing the game since I was a child. I'm not very old now, so I'm 23. So I do not have such enormous span of a game experience, but I have been playing games from 3 years old. I was not really into the game development, but it was always interesting for me. My father was a software developer, has been a software developer for his entire life, and to some extent the programming, the games, they were coinciding for me, so it was creating interest for me to practice software development. I thought they're very similar to how I play games. I don't know why it basically made me lean toward the computer field.
All right, but I think we will definitely go deeper into this topic.
Definitely.
And now I want to propose you to try something different, and this is to try out a job interview. And the idea is that we imagine that you apply to some company. The company doesn't exist, and the product they're making it doesn't exist. And but we imagine that you apply for the company and you're applying for a leadership position. But it's not just any leadership position, it's leadership position still related to engineering. So leading, let's say, department with software developers.
Okay.
So, and at some point I will say that the interview is over, and it will be time then for you to provide feedback. How did you like the interview? How did you feel? Was it similar to your previous job experience interviews? So are you ready?
Well, certainly I am.
Great. So, hello, Mark. Thank you for applying for the position in our company. And it's a leadership position in our software department. And our company is producing a bread toasting knife, a knife that can cut and toast bread at the same time. And you will be leading a team of software developers developing this product. You will see this on your screens, but I'll show now to Mark how it looks like.
It looks amazing. Good idea, actually.
So there are two options actually. One with this kind of laser blade, and then it's more hardcore.
More hardcore.
So you like more the second option, or?
From terms of the software development experience, I guess this neon blade has been more appealing to my side.
Mm-hmm.
But hardcore one is for maybe hardcore players who really like to cut the toast. Both options are good. You will always need to have some variety of design if you want to enter the market. Maybe.
But do you like toasters? Do you make toasters in morning?
Well, I'm a very lazy person. I'm lactose intolerant and I have vegan yogurts, so they're very easy to buy and you just eat it in 2-3 minutes and you go away on a job. Usually I don't have those because they take 5 minutes at me. But I actually like them.
But I assume you don't like to cook. Is it?
Let's put it like that. My student life has been spent in flat with 8 square meters, so you don't really have a space to cook. You only have one place where you can put a pot and just cook it. So you do not have a huge variety of what you can do. So no, I don't really like it.
You were not sharing with your the blockmates.
I was living in a separate flat, unfortunately, so it was not a dormitory. I was not able to apply to a dormitory back in times because, well,
But
I missed the chance.
for some it's unfortunate. For some it's actually even better.
For me, it was quite good. I think I liked, because I haven't been living in a dormitory, I could have spent more time on studies.
But you said because there was no space left in dormitory, but actually you wouldn't mind to live with and share with some other people.
No, I wouldn't. It's like, of course, it depends on the age, how you would look at it. But like right now, at time when I finished university, it's always an experience. So you're talking to people, you're listening to people, you're getting something from the way you live together. So it's very interesting to see how people can live in one room and basically try to survive this 3-5 years in university together. It's interesting. I wouldn't mind.
Great. And since we're already talking about the university, you started your degree in the integrated engineering.
Indeed, I did. Yeah.
When and how did you decide that you will go to the integrated engineering?
I haven't had any biased decision towards engineering. Like when you are finishing at school, you're 18 years old. It's hard to say that you are having some direction towards. Because I remember myself, I haven't been thinking that I wanted to become like an engineer who works in a factory. But integrated engineering was kind of appealing to me back at the days when I was selecting the curriculum. First of all, it was English program, one of not many available English programs here in Estonia with full fee waiver tuition. So, and its concept that you are basically getting the knowledge from different domains was very interesting for me, because I'm a person who always likes to seek for something new. So I was not looking for something very specific that I did 12 years old. During the studies I was not, and right now I always like to try out something new. So it's my motto for life, I would say. That's how I applied for it. English program with very interesting and promising curriculum description. It was having its own pros and cons, but overall it was a good start.
But back in school, you already did, or you felt that you like more math, physics, and the engineering stuff?
I was a weird guy in my class who liked algebra at school. Everyone hated it, but I liked, because that was the only subject where you had to think.
Probably you will.
And solve the equations, so I really liked algebra and something very specific science where you have to solve problems.
Probably you were also very popular, helping out with the homeworks and
So no. I am altruistic person, but when in school you are helping with the homework to someone, you don't want to have a lot of friends sitting on your neck, so you need to be a very firm person also. And I was popular in the class towards the extent of my basically academic results. So besides university grade point average, I had excellent results in school. I was quite artistic person. Even nowadays, I would say that, like art, culture is like half of my personal life. So I like reading books, was thinking about actually playing a theater here, but I do not have time because I am visiting the Estonian language course. But yeah, so what kind of bachelor student? Yeah,
It's really great to see that you're not only focusing on the exact sciences, but you mentioned that you're interested in the drama, the acting, and in other fields.
So for me, it's important. Like there are a lot of people who sometimes are basically not really. I don't know how to put it, but I'm not the type of guy who works as a software developer and then spends all of his entire free time after the work doing the projects or other software development. No, I would rather speak with friends, go to walk, read a book. Recently I started watching the history of Western philosophy, but it's basically in my native language. I would recommend, but yeah, it's not in English, unfortunately.
But nevertheless, it's great that you're trying different things. And but can you say that you are searching for if it comes to your career, that you are still searching for the area direction that you like and you want to stay further in?
I don't like to categorize the domains, professions, and etc. But if I would answer on this question, something that I have already selected for myself is technical domain, so technological domain. So something related to engineering, software development, exact sciences. Why? Because for me, it's very important to always self-improve myself during the work I'm doing. And I find out that this domain is especially good with it, comparing with others. Of course, it's not valid to compare because I haven't been working there, but according to feedback from my friends and etc., well, I like that I am working in engineering, technical domain, and I basically, I found myself on this wave, and I will just continue moving towards, on this wave actually, towards the future.
Did you also consider, so you compared to other areas like business, you mean? Or
business is a little bit tricky because like you do not do business because you do business. You do business on something else. It's like you have a basis behind this. You are doing the technological product during your business plan, or you are doing something else. So if I'm looking toward the management or the business management, creating my own business, I think that's also something I would lean to, entrepreneurship in like whenever I get enough experience and I will be tired of monotonous work or work on someone. I guess that's a very good way to go. Business is should be actually I consider it as a person's culmination. Like you got so much experience throughout the life, you are able to try out your own ideas, to pursue them in the world and seek for a demand. So that's a very good goal to achieve and reach and try to reach.
And speaking about choices, you started your bachelor with integrated engineering, and then after graduation, so basically master's was in computer science, and then eventually your first job was software developer. Is that?
My first job was already during the bachelor, so it was not like after the studies, but my first job. Okay, yeah, my first job was a software development because like official contracts here in Estonia, my first contract was with Ericsson, but as you have mentioned in my LinkedIn, there is a dig route experience, and that's a service for web page scrapping, and I started let's say it was a part-time work. So there was a job I was helping, and I was creating the instructions how to scratch the how to basically scrap the information from web page, and it was bringing me some money. Well,
You basically worked on the API side, this REST API. Or...
oh no, it was a bit different. I'm not trying to go into software technical specifications, but like there was a file, like you have some configuration file, TXT configuration file, YAML configuration file, JSON configuration file. I was writing YAML file. It was like a configuration for engine to scrap the web page. And the reason why it was a YAML file, because it was more user-friendly, so you do not need to know any programming language to basically take out the information from web page. But of course, there were some customers who were really not willing to even write this YAML file, so they were just making a request towards the company. Now this request has been processed, the developer has been assigned, and you are creating this web scraper.
But you didn't actually go to United States. It was remotely working.
Oh yeah, of course, it was a remote work. The company has been established in the United States. So I was basically doing very little work, part-time work, back when I was a school kid. And well, when you are starting in school, you usually do not have a lot of time.
But why have you decided to go into software development? Because in integrated engineering, you have basically electronics and mechanics as well.
Decided to go. It's difficult question. Why? It's very hard to remember what was your dream back when you were like 5 years ago, 4 years ago, what you were trying to achieve. Back at the time, I was remembering that, yeah, I get some engineering knowledge in a bachelor. I have been very self-demotivating myself. I was thinking I know, like, not a lot, which might also be true to some extent. So I was just trying to seek for an opportunity where I can get the work experience. But it was just so comfortable and convenient to proceed with the software development. Like back when I was an intern, then I got into a very amazing team in Ericsson after the internship. And like basically I found that, yeah, this is something I like. This is something I was been looking for. I think the same could have happened if I would be an engineer, whatever type of engineer. If the job was interesting and self-improving myself, or improving myself somehow, then I would be an engineer. It's just a matter of coincidences. Like I applied for an internship, I got a software development internship because I developed a game on a project. Good, let's try this internship. You try this internship, you are taking a look at how did you like it yourself? Have you been motivating when you were on internship? Have you learned a lot? And I actually did. So like when I was offered a job position after my internship, it was, well, I remember I was still studying, so I was half working, half studying. And it suited everyone, both me and managers. So I decided that you shouldn't waste this try. And you should proceed with it. That's how it happened. That's how I became the developer.
Actually, this is a very valid point. When you're starting in the beginning of your career, when you're starting, it's quite a challenge to find a job because in most places there is a requirement for experience. And in that sense, I understand you that there is opportunity. You don't have so much probably in the beginning. And this is kind of defining the next career path.
Certainly. You back when you are a student, well, especially if you are starting on excellent grades, maybe like if some students are going to watch this podcast, you are experiencing a very heavy imposter syndrome. So you think you are basically worthless for the job market. And to some extent, this feeling is this feeling has valid points, but in what domains? Like, you shouldn't apply for. I think when you're a student, it's perfectly fine to apply for internships. Like that's why they are there. Like, you're getting experience and you're getting an opportunity. And after you pass an internship, I would actually already consider it experience. Like, if you didn't get the job from first internship, you can go to the second one. You already have 6 months of experience. Sometimes you can even have 1 year of experience after finishing 2 internships at 2 companies. But after that, you can heavily go. It depends how you would put yourself to the interviewer.
But in your profile, I saw that's how you started. You basically got internship in Ericsson, and then you stayed as a full-timer.
Yeah, that's how. Well, I was part-time developer. Like, I was half-time for junior position. Until I finished my bachelor, then it was masters. I was also half-time masters, but on the second year of masters, I have already become the full-time software engineer, basically.
Are you planning to go for PhD?
PhD is not something you just finish your masters and you go for a doctor. Like, for me, it's something. It should be something very personal. Like, for me, PhD is not just a paper. So you spend 4 years towards achieving something someone has never been touching, basically. So it's a very serious challenge. And if you want to approach this very serious challenge, you need to find what you are interested in yourself. For instance, I will put my example. If I would go to PhD, even though right now I am in software and engineering domain, I think I would proceed with something similar, but it would touch the biology. I remember there was a course with internship, or not entrepreneurship, yeah. And there I basically stated what I wanted to try. Basically, I would do my PhD related to neural science, so applying the deep machine learning networks towards the diagnosis of psychiatric disease or something like that. So it's completely already
Very interesting choice.
It's already outside of what I'm actually working on right now. But I think this is something what is interesting for me, and it's quite a serious subject. So when you are trying to proceed with PhD, I had to, like, myself get an access to the research articles, which I actually have lost because I am not a student anymore. So it's not a very easy thing to do right now. It would cost money. I don't even know how much. But, like, you have to find a lot of research articles, and I think you certainly wouldn't find open articles on such domains. So you have to find the field where it hasn't been investigated, and you might end up in a situation that you finally see that actually this thing has been researched, and it's already there.
Whatever, are you for those materials being open to everyone, or let it stay as it is when people have to pay for the subscription?
I think people, so I will say a word, it might sound a bit out of context, but I think people should have, opinion should be always open. You are allowed to have any opinion you have. And why am I talking about it? Because I think it can be open for everyone to get, but there we already touched the concept of sophism, not sure how to pronounce it properly in English. So it's most likely related to the amount of money professors who are actually researching the subject are receiving. So if I'm already speaking from that point of view, that amount of salary person who has been researching on some subject is dependent on whether article is open and closed, and it's already a bit different topic of discussion. But because I do not know that, I have an opinion that it must be open. if someone would come right now and say that, that actually if you would open it, it would lead toward that, then we can already have debates, have a dialogue. Maybe I will change my point of view. So you should never be afraid of having a point of view and be open about it. And you shouldn't be insulted if your point of view can be like basically diminished or basically proven to be wrong with very serious facts and serious facts, how to prove some irrelevancy.
But indeed, this is can be a very lengthy topic, and no wonder that globally there are two camps of scientists who support this fully being open, and the other ones.
It's even touching the history of ancient Greece. Like there were people who are saying that people should get money because they are teaching people they should get money because they can live. And there were people like Socrates. He was totally against it. He was making fun of people who are taking money for giving out the studies. So it's very actually old and ancient topic, and it hasn't been resolved yet to the entire extent.
But moving from this more like academics kind of discussion, you're applying in our company for a leadership position. So why are you applying for this position? Why have you decided to apply for this position?
When I have been working in a domain of software, I feel myself already comfortable to work with people who are working technical software. I have good power skills. What does it mean? Maybe power skills is not a very common term. It's a synonym to the soft skills. So power skills and soft skills are theoretically the same, but power skills is more recent term. When you are getting an experience and you are confident enough that you can basically guide and help people around you, leadership is not management, so you wouldn't be very it's more of a, when you are a leader, you are more of an artistic person. You approach people. You are trying to understand what do they want from their own jobs. You are helping them out. You are trying to understand what keeps them in this field. What would help them to be more happy working on that product the company is developing. So basically leadership, and leadership can be different. There can be technical leaderships or just leadership as like team leader. I am a type of person who is more inclined toward the second term, where you are a leader like a sole person. So you are there in this team to like basically build a team. But technical leadership is more, it's more straightforward and more technical topic. So I can also apply the technical leadership because I am already having an experience in technical domains. So if you're speaking about this amazing toast knife, then I guess every technical leader should have the trait to look on the product as a system. So like you are a technical leader, you shouldn't be worried into the domain, but you should be able to comprehend the system as a whole and maybe understand the domain trend in some subject. Like I'm looking at a knife, especially this neon one, and I can already see the need. Embedded software engineer, mechanical engineer. Well, for now that's all. But it depends on what kind of functionality we want to embed in a knife. Like I just look at this picture and I already know what are the components and systems I had to comprehend in my head as a technical leader, what to develop a product.
Speaking about the power skills, or as you called soft skills, by the way, when I first time heard about these power skills, it didn't click in my mind that this kind of soft skills, persuasion and influencing, my first assumption was the power skills about the Power Apps and Power Automate and all these Microsoft tools that you use.
Well,
Power BI and so on. But speaking about the power skills, how will you persuade, let's say you have a team and your team is used to work for many years and they had their fixed work desks. And then
they have fixed work tasks or desks?
Desks, work desks.
Okay.
So everyone has their own, every day they're coming and this is the place. And then comes a request from your management that you as a manager of your team, the leader of your team, now you need to introduce this new change that in company there is no fixed work desks anymore. They need to be cleaned every time they're used, and basically you need to book this every day. So now you have basically information that you need to make this change. How will you go to your team and convince them that they need to give up their fixed work desks where they put up their photos with families and some some funny things and they're so attached to these work desks? How will you do this and what will you say?
I think that going directly to your team and saying that it was a manager's request is not a very good thing. You want to comfort people why it should happen. If I would have a possibility with manager, I would discuss with him certain opportunities, whether we can book the desk 24/7 for my team. Like, is this opportunity possible? If not, then like, why would we need constantly scheduling the desk if people are coming every day to the work? What's the point in it? So, I have never been a person who just listens to a request and becomes a transmitter to the team. Like, I have a brain, I can think about something also. So I also want to understand certain decisions. I would speak with manager first to understand if it is really needed. Can we like try to convince him that the team got used to such ergonomics in their life, so they come every day to work, they have their personal desks. I do not see the reason why would they need to schedule the desks all the time. And in case if I'm like receiving very heavy and hard response that it must be like that, I already go to a phase where I'm gathering the team and I am trying to give out them this information. But I shouldn't just give out that information. The thing they feel is something which I should feel also. I should have empathy as a leader. If I understand that they are not feeling okay with that, then I'm already trying to find the agreements with them. How would it possible to get the situation go as easy as possible? Maybe we will come up with some workarounds how we can keep those desks almost 24/7 scheduled for our team or something like that. And basically, in a situation where manager just puts you under the conditions that this must happen, I would proceed with these topics steadily. I try to find a compromise, partially inducing the change into the team, looking at someone else's feelings, understanding what they are feeling about them. Maybe for someone else this desk has been the most important part of his life, like an introverted person who is sitting on a desk somewhere there. It was his home, second home, we would say. Then it can be really a problem. You shouldn't underestimate the feelings of others, saying that, oh, it's just a desk, they can sit everywhere they like. No.
But let's elaborate, maybe not directly connected to these work desks, but let's say you made many changes, including these work desks and some other changes, and
And another change, let's say, you want to introduce is that no more remote working. Now you have to come back and work in the office. And then when you start telling and announcing all this information, all this news, some of your senior engineers, they basically come and say that if you do this, we will leave. How will you handle this situation?
So, in this situation, you shouldn't start the dialogue directly in the meeting. So you had a meeting agenda, you had to keep the meeting agenda. Most likely, if a person says something like that.
But let's say...
is it a group complaint or is it a person complaint?
It's a person complaint. So let's say meeting was there, information went out. So, and then after that, the person comes to you personally and basically tells this.
It's I cannot predict what I would say directly there, but I should find a comfortable place for us to sit, discuss. Why? Because once someone is saying, I'm going to leave, if you would do that, that's like more of emotional response. So, and emotional response is not very, it might not be very, let's say, it might be given under some affect. So you should bring up the calm like comfortable environment, sit together in a private place, and start a discussion about the subject of the change. How, and like there are very direct steps how to proceed with it. You ask a person to give his point of view on that, why he doesn't or she doesn't like that. Like you listen to person, then you give your point of view on that change, and then you are entering the difficult phase, but the phase where you would actually try to agree on a decision. And usually compromise might not be the best option. I have been visiting the leadership course, and like compromise is something which doesn't satisfy you and doesn't satisfy the person. So it's actually not all compromise. It's not actually always the best option. So during the debate, you just need to listen person carefully and understand why is it a problem. Like if I would be in this situation, it's actually very hard to think about myself in this situation because I would rather not introduce this change that everyone have to go in non-remotely such instantly.
We have an example with Twitter.
Twitter? Well, glad I'm not a leader in Twitter. But I have said what I would do in 80% of the first 80% of the conversation. How I would handle the last 20% of conversation where we have to conclude something. That's already interesting parts. I don't know. If I would actually, I think if a person would give me some arguments, I would understand him, because if you have been working remotely and then at one day someone asks you to come 5 times a day to the office, even if a manager doesn't doesn't approve it, I would still maybe not make such a drastic change spontaneously. Maybe we would agree with the person that it would be possible to come 3-4 times a day. I would speak with his manager, try to get that agreement also with him, trying to get like point of view of a person, like maybe a person got so used to be on a remote work that he already has something besides the work life, which is very, like, which you cannot throw out from a personal life. And that's why he is working remotely. I think the final decision on that problem would be to try to agree on less drastic change, going only several times a day to the office, and basically agreeing that with my manager, with his manager. And if it is not, maybe there even would be a situation that we had to change. If it is a company policy, then it's already a talk with management. Like as a leader, you are trying to.
But let's say you agreed that the person can come only several times a week, not all 5 days a week to office. But then others see this and they come to you and say, why do we have to come 5 days a week while this guy is coming only 4 or 3 days a week?
Mm-hmm. So if you are making these decisions, then you have to make these decisions for the entire team. You should never allow the like. It's also applicable with team culture. Like if you're having team events, you might need to make 2 groups of teams to visit some event, but you should never leave out someone. So similar applies to that. So if a person can come several times a day, at least 3 times a week to the office, then all other team members should have this opportunity. If other team members cannot have this opportunity, then this team member, which I suggested this idea, cannot have this opportunity. So when I would speak about this opportunity, I would imply the entire team, not only the person. If it is not possible, then at some end, if a person is a very conflicted person, like your leadership role might come to an end, and you need to start speaking with managers to already basically have a talk on terms of legislation and contract, termination of contract, and etc.
All right, but I think it's really a big topic in itself, and but here on the concept level, I think you pretty much answered. But if we speak about how would others assess you, so how do you think your colleagues would describe you? What would be those top 3 characteristics they would give you?
Oh, depends on not work, but the company I'm working in. Back when I was in Ericsson, so I was having the leadership position. So I was very open, ready to help, and basically open-minded. That would be 3 words at least. For my current job, I'm not a leader, so I do not have a mandate to proceed with a lot of ideas.
But this is an interesting question. Do you need a mandate to be a leader, or and this is like the question between having formal position to become a leader? But do you think, basically, how do you think? Or you need to be a leader, you actually need to have this kind of senior in your title position? And
No, certainly no. If you want to be a manager, then you can have a contract on paper that you are a manager. But if you want to be a leader, you can be a leader without a contract on paper. The other question, maybe you would want to have for your altruism more salary. Then it's already another point of discussion. But nobody stops you from suggesting new ideas in a team. If team has a good culture, then team is attentive. Leads are attentive. They are listening to your ideas. They are open up to the solutions you are trying to propose. You shouldn't be afraid of proposing, and you shouldn't be afraid of speaking when something isn't done correctly. That's, I think, actually how I got into the leadership. So I would not say that. So only last few months in Ericsson I got the official technical lead position. Before that, people were calling me lead, but I didn't like it. I just said, "Oh, guys, I am software developer as you. Don't try to put me on a step above." And I'm still thinking like that. So if you're a leader, then everyone in a team can also be a leader in his own domain. Um, and that's actually very good, very good thing in a team to have this leadership culture. Everyone can be his own leader when he is trying to uh, show empathy towards others, trying to organize himself, his own work, trying to put attention on some close problems we are commonly experiencing, not being afraid to do that. I guess that's a trait that everyone have to develop, and leadership, I think, is quite closely correlated to reasonability of person. Like you are a reasonable person, you are seeing a problem, you address the problem, you are not keeping silent because of it. If you are speaking to a person and he said that I didn't want to put like this problem under attention, then you have already to ask yourself, why was it like that? Maybe because we do not put too much attention to the problems, or the way how we solve problems appears for everyone just blah 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 work, only speak work, and which actually doesn't solve anything. So reasonability is very important in leadership. I think every person has an accent of reasonability in herself and himself, and we have a lot quite common senses in a lot of subjects, especially when it comes to organizational work. I will even bring numbers because these numbers I have been taught on leadership courses. Like around 80 or even more percent of people, when they go to the work, to the new position, they actually want to show themselves. Like they want to be very good at what they are doing, and they don't want to basically slack on the work. And I guess leaders should never like have a bias in head that there are some people who are constantly trying to ruin the work, and it not only apply, it doesn't, it really applies only to leaders, but also to team members. So you shouldn't have a gossip team culture where everyone says, oh, this guy has been doing this code and right now it's very hard to maintain it. It's better to not say that, not do that, not try that. This is not very good thing. So you shouldn't enter this. You shouldn't create the situations, and you should become a team where there is a reasonable culture. Maybe that's what I wanted to point out, because I'm giving out a lot of thoughts from my head about it. It's not maybe not very concise point of view I'm giving out right now, but at least I'm trying.
But it's really good to hear your opinion, and it's absolutely normal if it's like kind of living thought when it's not fixed into some kind of state. It's kind of moving, and while you are sharing your thought, you also at the same time thinking.
Well, if there would be an audience, then of course it's already different topic. Well, there is an audience who watches the video, but like I am just deep diving into the concept of public speaking. In public speaking, you need to be very precise if you want to actually share some information with a very wide audience. Here I am more like having a dialogue with you during the podcast.
All right, and I want to go back to the game development part.
Okay.
Why Unreal and not Unity or any other kind of?
I have been working in Unity also, actually. I had a side project where I have been developing in Unity. Why Unreal Engine? I don't know, it sounds more... First of all, it uses C++ as a core programming language behind it. So, knowing that it's relatively not an easy language to study and master, it was appealing to me. And
So you like challenges?
that's one thing. The second thing, Unreal Engine has a very good blueprint system. And it has been creating a lot more booms in the domain of game development than Unity, because with Unreal Engine 5, like release of Unreal Engine 5 was very loud, and it has indeed mind-breaking technologies embedded in it. Nanite, Lumen blueprint system in Unreal Engine is much better than in Unity. In Unity, you are like, I can give out my impression of Unity. I am making a code in Unity, and I always feel that I am making like my code is one big quick fix for something. I don't know why. It's maybe in Unreal Engine it's also a problem, because when I was working with Unity, I was already more in programming part. In Unreal Engine, I was 50-50, like, and I would say that code part back in Unreal Engine was relatively easy. It was like just procedural generation, and it was quite easy one. Like you were just spawning platform one after another. It was not very hard. With Unity, I have tried a lot of mechanics, also procedural level generation. I connected it with the server, with the backend.
Do you think it's possible to kind of, maybe not fully, but to make it very close to physical reality, replicate this? So let's say nowadays it's in some of the trends that when you're shopping, you will be able to basically immerse into that environment, and you can touch and smell. Will it really replace? Can it really replace the shopping experience?
Do we speak? Is it like in nearest future? No, I guess not. But to some extent, like the brain in our head is basically a system, like non-linear system whose dynamics you do not know. So if in the nearest future you can attach a device or any other means of sensoric that would replicate the real sensorics from my fingers, from my toes, from my legs, hands, why not? Like it can be. Like it's a multi-system question. You can replicate feelings, then you need to replicate picture, and making a realistic picture is much easier than replicate feelings. But it might be possible in the future. I don't think it is a problem. The other question is that right now it's also actually a very, I think it has been a sharp point of discussion if philosophy is behind the today's science, because philosophy is a science of science. So there might be a situation that the science is so far away from philosophy, we cannot address the ethical questions, like because ethics is one of the biggest domain in philosophy. So like, and philosophy actually should give you an answer whether you should develop such technology or not.
Does it really have to be?
That
don't we overcomplicate things instead of using common sense?
What do you mean by that? Actually, overcomplication of what exactly? The technology I'm speaking about right now, that we are having some kind of sensoric that can replicate the feelings.
Yeah.
If you want a full immersion, like you were saying, I'm here in a shopping mall, I can touch things, I can actually wear it, but it's not actually in reality, then most likely it will be something like that. Or maybe we will have human digital twin. Like it's similar to Black Mirror, if you have been watching this TV series. And then you have
no, I haven't.
there was a concept of device which had your digital replica somewhere there in the other world, and like your mind is in a digital replica, and digital replica is trying to produce these feelings. So
kind of like Avatar in the first
I
the first part.
I don't remember that movie. Oh, unfortunately, don't. Maybe, but maybe there will be a human digital twin. Like we are having the factory digital twins. They already have quite good replication of dynamics, but these are like metal screws bolt systems, so it's fairly easy to simulate them. Of course, like not easy, like extremely easy, but easier than a human, because human is not a machine. But I guess if one day it would be, there would be some kind of maybe concept of indeed a digital person, and this person can have this functionality, and you can feel for this digital person.
Talking about human and so to say superpowers. If you had a choice between two superpowers, to be invisible or flying, which one would you choose?
Well, if you would fly between countries, most likely you would get yourself killed by anti-air military systems. So I don't know. Flying, I guess for me, I am a romantic person, so I really like to admire a point of time, like you are standing on a street, you notice something in a landscape of your eyesight, and you are admiring it. So with possibility to fly, you can basically move at any place at the time you want. But maybe invisibility is more like practical. It's more practical superpower.
To survive.
To survive, maybe, yeah, indeed. But with flight, you can also survive. But I guess I would choose flight. I really like the possibility that I would be able to, like, right now instantly get onto some roof in front of my site and just look on the landscape. Like, I want to do that. And I want to see how it would look like from that point of sight. Then I would choose that superpower. If I had to survive, I would choose invisibility.
Great. So let's move to the last question in this job interview.
Okay.
What is your salary expectation?
My salary expectation. There is a web portal where I have been looking on the average salary level for the.
Which portal is that?
I don't remember. It's an Estonian portal, which actually almost similar to Glassdoor, where you have the salary expectation for a team lead and etc. So you can take a look at the like general software technology lead position for the Estonia, and I would expect like 10% more of that salary due to inflation risks. Yeah.
10% more than average, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So basically, the now job interview is over, this mode. And so how did you feel? How did it go?
It felt like a dialogue between me and you, not like a job interview. So we were mostly speaking. Like, I think more serious job interviews would be more situations demanding. Like you would ask more questions about this knife. Here we went into more outside domain. You just listen to my stories, what I was trying to say, and it can be a good. It can be considered as a good interview because you were listening what I am thinking. So right now you have everything recorded on a podcast. You go and you discuss with your team how is this person, how the soft skills are for this person. Is his mentality ready for our working environment? There were not a lot of company-specific questions, but yeah.
But imagine you had to hire. So imagine that you're the owner of the company, and you're hiring the manager of department, software development department. Do you imagine you would make interview in the similar way or
Yeah,
different?
similar. Now I think I get why you are talking about. We were talking about the situations with tables and etc. To some extent, I guess these questions were very good. Like you do not have a precise answer on them. You're to some extent touching the real situation that happened in work experience, and now you are not. I am not the only one who is trying to apply for this position. So your team has a possibility to decide.
Because indeed in this position, it's assumed that you have proven track in technical area. You're engineer than lead engineer. But probably from CV, it's not so much clear how about the people skills and.
It's never clear. I would say that like it's not a math, so you cannot calculate the leader. You have to speak with him if you really want to try manager and leader. I have been conducting some job interviews, and with the best software candidates, it was always a pleasure to speak during the interview.
So you were participating in hiring software developers?
Yeah, I was not a lot, but I was. It was quite interesting experience. It's like for you, it's always a. For me, one of the most things I had to do is to judge people and somehow measure them. And when I'm trying to hire people in a job, I always have a feeling that I had to measure people because that's maybe to some essence that's what it is. So you are trying not to measure too much, but be very precise with yourself. When you are trying to, it's very easy when you are trying to hire technical people because you can set yourself very specific milestones. Like in task, do that, and do that, and like you can be very precise how you would evaluate a candidate. But when you have to evaluate the leader, oh, that's very hard because you need to evaluate soft skills. How would you evaluate your soft skills and others?
But from the interviews that you were participating in, what were the main lessons you took away?
I guess it's very important to, when you are trying to hire technical people, it's you have to sometimes also trust your own feelings. So first of all, if you have a test task, you do not need to make any sorries if some of the important points were missed. So if person missed like third point, which were compulsory for a job position during the assignment, you do not need to review a candidate, and it must be very firm for you. Because I have been in situations where I've been asked, oh, maybe let's consider this person's skill. Like, it's one mistake, it's not a problem. But usually, once you give someone a chance, you are trying to give everyone a chance yourself, because like it's related to your question about the amount of days I can come to work. So if you would allow someone to come 3 times a week, why wouldn't you allow everyone else? So if you give opportunity to someone to basically, you didn't look at the important point of tasks, and you will give this opportunity to everyone. So you have to be very strict. The second point, I would say, with good candidates on a job, you are always having an excellent interview. You do not feel anything strange. So if you have strange gut feeling, then you have to like ask yourself, is it really worth it? What might be the problem? Like, what are causing you the strange feelings inside of you? Is it your personality, or it's something very rational? For instance, I will give a very easy example. There was a task to calculate something. Person gave a task that calculated it, but did it in 7 minutes of time. And like you're already starting to think, oh, 7 minutes, is it like too much or not too much? Do I have to proceed with the interview or not? And then like you are already starting asking yourself the question. You started asking yourself the question because something was not good in a situation. So that's already a ringing bell. I would always aim towards candidates with whom you had an excellent internship, or not internship, but interview, where you didn't have any, which didn't give birth to some.
I would assume that
Yes.
it's of course not an easy thing to correctly estimate, especially this
A leader.
leadership skills, and also so to say the character, to understand the character, and that's why there is the probation periods. But even I saw cases when probation period also was not leading to clear kind of answer, and
Yeah, that's very hard.
people making mistakes.
As soon as you are trying to hire more people-oriented jobs, it becomes very difficult. It's not easy. Like, it's not a math. With software developers, engineers, you might do math. You have a test assignment. In test assignment, you have very strict points which you have to achieve in test assignment.
Yeah.
Which test assignment you would give to leader? Basically, no assignments, I think. So this is hard. It's indeed very hard. But
And
best and excellent candidates are leaving very high impression, not only for you usually, but for the entire team. So it's always worth to consult with someone else if you have been participating in an interview with someone else. So if you both have excellent feelings, it's better to proceed with other steps or even hire a person. Yeah.
And now the person who is watching us and can be different in different stage of career, but let's assume the person is in the beginning of career and just graduating the university. And
What does the person do?
in the software development, for instance, so basically in the same area that your expertise lays in, and to that person wants to become leader. So to that person, what advice would you give?
First of all, I will give two advices. First of all, try to find open team. There might be situations where team is very rigid and is not willing to go on a contact and be very agile. With those teams, it's very hard to get the experience you need to, especially if you're young, and it's hard to prove yourself as a leader. The second option, when you find this team, you can feel that, well, people are more talkative, more open to problems. Then you can basically apply this principle of reasonability. Like, I am a reasonable person. I look at problem. I think this is a problem. Why wouldn't I try and go and address it? If I am giving reply that it is not a problem, and you still think it's a problem, try to go to someone else. Like, you just need to, if you feel that you have to do something, you have to do it. You shouldn't basically diminish this feeling. You shouldn't think that you are emotional. You should, if you think it's a reasonable thing to ask and proceed with some questions, then you have to ask them. You have to do something. You have to suggest something and you shouldn't be afraid of doing that. And from time to time, you will understand that you are basically becoming that one person who can be considered a leader, I would say. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And that was Mark Sisin in the episode of Leaders and Engineers. Thank you for watching and listening us.
Yeah.